In this video I'm going to show you how to use the built-in arpeggio, and the arpeggio is a great feature because it allows you to easily be able to play some complex note progressions as well as emulate some very realistic style patterns such as guitar strums and so forth. It does this because it has some pre-programmed in note progressions that scale depending on what key you're playing and also what chords you're playing, so it has a lot of creative control whenever you're recording and doing playbacks as well. Let's go ahead and turn on the arpeggio, and you'll see right now we're just set to power ground. Let's just hold down a chord here. You can see it's playing a note pattern from the Arpeggiator. If we hold down the arpeggio button for longer than a second, we go into the arpeggio menu, which it's actually just a couple options under the utility menu. So if we pressed on utility, held it down for longer than a second, and then scrolled over using the increment and decrement buttons for the categories, you'll see it take us to the arpeggio section as well. And this is where you can change some of the patterns. You can see right now it's set to 60 PF ARP 1, and I could change this to another ARP style. And then once you exit out of that stays there for you. If you wanted to store this, you would just do a performance memory store again. Let's go ahead and audition a couple other different styles. I want to show you the differences and capabilities of using the arpeggio. Let's click on guitar/bass category. I want you to scroll down to 06 Spanish Steel. When you get to this portion, the arpeggio will automatically be on, and by the way, that's a setting that can be stored in a performance memory, whether or not if you want to have the arpeggio automatically be on when you pull up a sound from performance memory. But let's go ahead and listen to how this one sounds. So you can see it has some very realistic style strumming there. One thing that makes it realistic is that there's some velocity that can be controlled, and when I say velocity, it's how hard the keys are being pressed. Now I'm just holding down a chord here. I'm not pressing the keys harder or softer, and I'm letting the arpeggio control the velocity of its note progression. Let me show you where this is controlled at. Let's go ahead and hold down arpeggio. And remember, we looked at the arpeggio type here. That's the pattern that it's playing. We can also use the category to go to the ARP velocity, and you see there's a setting here called original. What we can do is we can change this to through, and that means that the arpeggio would play at the velocity that I press the keys at. Let's go ahead and see how that sounds. You can see it doesn't sound realistic at all, and that's because in the second part of the riff, at the end where it sounds repetitive there, that's because the velocity is being taken from the pressure at which I press the keys. Now, depending on how this particular sound is programmed into the MM6, it may have some variance in oscillator triggering at different velocities. So this is why that some of these sound more realistic with the original arpeggio velocity settings.